is your sales meeting. And as long as you view it as more or less like a chamber event, you're going to miss out on the big picture.
Hi, I'm Clay Morgan, franchise owner of B&I Tennessee, Kentucky, and Southern Indiana. Look, I know finding your next customer feels like you're running on a hamster wheel. And that's why B&I created a community that brings customers to you. I want to invite you to listen to the B&I Advantage podcast because I want you to learn how to really accelerate your ROI as a member of this organization. Now, Ryan Reed, our host of this podcast, he has been a member of B&I for over 25 years. And he jokes that for the first 10 years, he paid full price for his membership while getting the scenic route, watching other members get results a whole lot faster. That's how he figured out what really drives results through your membership in B&I. Ryan got off the hamster wheel, and you can too. For the last 15 years, Ryan has operated at 100 points in our Power of One report across B&I's 5 key performance categories. For the last 12 years, he is the only member in the United States who has maintained that perfect engagement record. I can think of nobody better to help us host our regional podcast here, so I want you, like Ryan, to get off the scenic route, get into the fast lane, and start collecting your ROI. You are right here in the right spot with us.
So many people, including myself, especially for the first 10 years, really felt like showing up would get the results. Kind of like going to a chamber event. It's networking. You're having drinks, you're having fun, and you're meeting people, and you're shaking hands and kissing babies. But that's not what gets you results for an actual sales company. I want you to think of it like this. You have a sales position, and let's say there's 20 territories, which is what a starting B&I chapter is shooting for. You weren't showing up for the weekly 20-person sales meeting. And when you did, you weren't prepared. You weren't having your commercial may have been good, and it could have been all about your product, but you weren't paying attention to the others, understand what they're doing that works. And ultimately, you weren't following the protocols to produce. Would you keep that job? And that's one thing you just got to ask yourself. If you'll look at it that way, then you'll understand the whole reason why I was able to get the final 15 years of my B&I career at 100. But it took me 10 years to figure that out. And that's when really I got ROI out of B&I, because of the fact I shift my mindset from this being a chamber event, this being just a social gathering that happens to happen every week for an hour and a half. And I turned it into, this is my sales meeting. And when I would get up to start my commercial, a lot of times I'd be like, Salesforce, because I wanted to get their attention and I want them to realize you are my Salesforce. And so ultimately, my commercial was delivering that message to them that here's what I need. Here's what is a good referral for me. Now it's my turn to do the same for them and to sit and listen to how to help those 20. So they're talking about the same things. And we're not competing. We're in different territories, which is the same thing on B&I. We all have a different product. And so now at this point, we can really help each other. So that is the reason why it got very apparent to me that I must attend meetings and I must visualize it as my sales meeting of the week, the most important business meeting to have. One tip on making it your most important sales meeting of the week is put it on your calendar as that. Write it in that this is a non-negotiable. It is my meeting, my sales meeting of the week, and there is no canceling it. So in this mindset shift, when you're like, let's say you need to go to a doctor and the doctor says, okay, let's just use that Wednesday example. Okay, we can fit you in Wednesday at 6 o'clock or Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Before you say yes, you now look at it and it's like, this is my one non-negotiable meeting of the week. It is my most important meeting. At this point, It's very easy to say, I have a meeting that time. What's your next best time to get me in? It's probably the same day, just a couple hours later, if not the same time on Thursday instead of Wednesday. But so often, and I've sat there and listened to BNI members set appointments and hear the person say Wednesday at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and they say yes without any hesitation, knowing that they have now put that most important business meeting, their sales meeting, to the side. And I really want you to realize if you're in a sales force of 20, 40, 60, and you're setting doctor's appointments for those meetings and you're not showing up, how long are you going to keep your job? I started off as a technician. Well, the Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi territory came open. How did that come open? The owner of the company, Mr. B, his best friend was not getting the job done. He got fired. And the very next day, I got promoted from being a technician to having that territory as my sales. You start to think, wow, the owner fired his best friend. He would fire anyone who wasn't producing. And if you didn't show up to his meetings, you got fired. We had a Salesforce meeting every Wednesday, 6 o'clock Eastern time. Now, our company had territories that covered all of the states east of the Mississippi and actually had a few in the Mountain Time Zone. So that meant for those guys, it started at 4 a.m. and it lasted an hour and a half, exactly similar to BNI, but just not at 4 in the morning. So my territory was in Central Time, so my meeting started at 5. We would do a roll call, and then each person would go around and we would work on getting better. We would work on what's working in the field, very similar to what a good referral would be for me. We also went over our PALMS report, our results, how many demos we went on, how many sales we had, any cancellations, how many installs did we get. Mr. B used to say all the time, Ryan does not have a patent on his results. Anybody can do what Ryan's doing. If you don't figure it out fast to get close to his numbers, you're not going to be here any longer. And if Ryan thinks that he's arrived and is not striving to get better, then he can also find another job. Yes, that was a lot of pressure, but it worked because this was our sales meeting of the week. We learned, we got better, and our company was the number one selling company in the United States in the 90s. So we were very successful. One particular meeting that was quite interesting was we were all online, and then all of a sudden you heard, and keep in mind, this is back in the 90s. We didn't have Zoom, so we couldn't see each other. So one of the sales persons that was on the line had fallen asleep. So Mr. B did a quick roll call, and he went around the room. Ryan, yes, sir. John, yes, sir. Mark, yes, sir. Joseph, let's do one more roll call real quick. Joseph, well, it seems to me we don't need to bother everyone else with a roll call. If someone would like to wake him up and let him know he is no longer employed with security surveillance, that would be great. Otherwise, let's just mute him and move on. And that's exactly what happened. And so it's like when you're in a sales force that is that serious, it can get a little scary. I'm not saying that's what we need to do at BNI. Absolutely not. Matter of fact, what I love about BNI is you can do it on your own merit. Thinking of this as your Salesforce meeting, you will truly understand the difference between a casual chamber event to an actual serious sales meeting that you're having weekly with your sales force, and showing up and listening to what each one of the members say and then striving to help them. That's why it's so important, because you're listening to the other members for triggers that hit you where you're like, okay, so now when you're out this week and something arises that triggers your mind for a referral, or even in the past week that you had these discussions and this would now be perfect to turn over a referral to them. That is what is going to put ROI in your BNI. Okay, our next podcast, we're going to go deeper and deeper into mindset change to get you ROI out of BNI. This is BNI Advantage. Thank you.